Okay, so RTX 5060 laptop, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, 1 year and 7 patches later. Is this thing actually fixed now? Because last time I tried this game on a completely different laptop, I gave up on it. So let's get into it. Quick context on why this and why now. It's been on Game Pass for quite some time, so a lot of you are probably about to play this for the first time. Back at launch, I had a RTX 3060 laptop, an old Nitro 5, and I tried Expedition 33 then. It wasn't unplayable, but it stuttered enough that I shelved it. So when I came back to it now on the 5060 for the channel, I genuinely wasn't expecting much. I've put in a few hours by now. This is all post patches. So remember, this isn't a 20-minute benchmark loop. I actually fought through it. When I started getting good numbers at 1080p epic settings with DLSS quality without even trying, I got suspicious. Like, wait, isn't this an Unreal Engine 5 title? I haven't seen most UE5 games run this well on a laptop. So that sent me digging into what actually happened to this game over the past year. Quick version, launch April 2025, gorgeous, acclaimed, but rough. Stutter, no frame generation, no AMD upscaling. July, patch 1.4.0 adds DLSS and XeSS frame generation. December, this was the thank you update, FSR Force, Steam Deck verification, free content, right while it's sweeping every Game of the Year award this year. January this year, DLSS 4.5, new transformer model lens. It's pretty standard for developers to squash bugs after launch. We expect that. But this is more than that. They kept integrating new upscalers and rendering tech for a full year after the trophies were already on the shelf. That's not bug fixing, that's continued investment. And honestly, that's exactly where the laptop numbers flip. So stick around for that. So here's what I actually did. I started at 1440p DLSS quality because I genuinely wasn't hopeful given my history with the game, and it played really well. Open exploration setting in mid-60s, get into tighter spaces, caves and climbing situations, corridors. It climbs to the 70s and even 80s. And this is the number that actually matters more than exploration. Real combat, dodging and parrying holds well, 60 to 70 FPS, completely stable. I'm not saying that it doesn't dip once in a while into the high 50s, but most of the time 60 and 70s. Parry timing isn't fighting the frame rate here, which, if you've played other UE5 action games, you know that's not always a given. Worst case, I found heavy fire VFX mid-fight dips into the mid-50s, still playable and doesn't fall apart. Then I pushed further, went to 4K with DLSS performance, because look, plenty of games hold up fine at 1440p quality or balance, then you bump to 4K and even at DLSS performance something breaks. Resident Evil Requiem does this, solid 60 FPS at 1440p with RT on, then drops to mid 40s or low 50s at 4K, even at performance. Crimson Desert, similar situation, 60 FPS mostly, and once you go on to 4K with DLSS performance, at the max 50, 51, 52 FPS. That's just the pattern with most newer titles, right? But Clair Obscur completely ignores that. Mid 60s to low 70s at 4K with DLSS performance. Basically the same bandwidth as 1440p. And if you think about how the engine works, it kind of makes sense. 1440p quality and 4K performance are pushing almost same kind of internal resolutions, roughly 960p for 1440p quality and 1080p for 4K at performance. But well, the actual shocker to me wasn't the frame rates matching, is that pushing the 4K output buffer didn't just choke the VRAM and panic the engine. Now, the two moments I could actually reproduce a dip. First, cutscene to gameplay transition. Watch the frame time graph spike right here coming out of this cut. Second, mid-combat, when the ability stack changes. There's a dissolve animation that costs a few frames every time it plays. That's it. Those are the only two triggers I found, and in the open world, the FPS dips into the mid 50s in the map section. But remember that this is still playing at 4K, and this section is somewhat like, have you played games like Kingmaker or Wrath of the Righteous, and they have those map sections where you can move around? Yes, something like that. And if you've seen my other videos like Death Stranding 2, you know I'm paranoid about 8GB cards at this point. But across every test here, even pushing that fully powered 115 watt TUF F16 5060 laptop at 4K with heavy particle effects, total VRAM allocation never broke 6.7 gigabytes. My guess is they tuned the UE5 texture streaming pool well, because this thing just isn't fighting your memory buffer the way some of the other UE5 titles are. Also a quick comparison, because this is what makes Clair Obscur story actually impressive. Oblivion Remastered runs on UE5 wrapped on the original 2006 Gamebryo engine from Game Logic. Same kind of dual engine setup as some of the other AAA UE5 games right now, and its performance didn't get better with patches. By some accounts, it actually got worse, with a major patch in July making stutters more common, not less. So same engine, widely different outcomes. A 30-person team with a clean native UE5 build spent a year making their game faster. A much bigger remaster, wrapped over legacy code, spent a year getting more complaints. That's not a budget problem, that's an engineering decision. So one-line answer, if you're deciding whether to download this game on Game Pass right now, yes, the RTX 5060 laptop, 1440p or 4K, both completely playable, both stable in combat, and the only stutters are those two specific ones that I mentioned, and once in a while in the open world, you might get a few stutters here and there, but the game is not falling apart and it's completely, absolutely playable in fact. A year after launch, a 30-person team tuned this into one of the best running UE5 games I've ever tested. And that's the story.